Trust, one of the darkest movies of 2010, directed by David Schwimmer of all people. It's astonishing that this man, whose only other film was a light comedy, could possibly have pulled this off with all the grounded realism that it had. Of course, it isn't just Schwimmer who's to be credited here. The screenplay, by Andy Bellin and Robert Festinger, feels like it's a story taken almost word for word from someone's life. The characters feel and act like real people would act in this kind of a situation. The situation itself is that a 14-year-old girl named Annie develops an internet relationship with a boy named Charlie. After completely winning her over, Charlie comes out with a confession. He's not 15, he's 20. He then continues to up his age, and this naturally shocks Annie. However, she's been completely lulled into his illusion, seeing a kind soul that she can pour all her angst into and receive support in return. Now, it's no spoiler as to where this leads. The movie isn't as much about the act itself as it is about everyone's reactions to it. When a close friend suspects something, she phones the police in panic, who then immediately begin an investigation of sexual assault. The parents are naturally devastated, and Annie is made to see a hospital psychiatrist to help her get through this. The most striking transformations are Annie and her father. Annie is so psychologically damaged from the experiences that she clings to the belief that Charlie loves her and meant everything he said, and she actually turns on those closest to her, who naturally can't understand this and don't know how to cope with it. The father, meanwhile, becomes completely obsessed with finding Charlie, pushing the FBI for results, causing a rift between himself and Annie. Trust is a movie that wants to shed light on a subject that is very sensitive for people who have to deal with it, and dangerous to people ignorant of the matter. It shows us how these things usually play out, how it's important to be careful in these times, despite all the trust you might have in the world's goodness. The movie doesn't say that the big solution to everyone's problems is catching the guy, because how do you catch this anonymous man among thousands of others? The solution isn't vengeance and anger, but providing support for the victims, helping them recover as much of themselves as they can. The strength of this movie lies not only in the screenplay, but in the performances. Clive Owen and Catherine Keener play the parents of Annie, who is herself played by Liana Liberato. All three of these actors give intense, gripping performances that require a great amount of emotion without becoming too melodramatic. Another good performance is Viola Davis as the psychiatrist who helps Annie break through her denial and reach acceptance of what happened to her. But the performance that deserves the most mention is Chris Henry Coffey, who plays Charlie, the man who assaults Annie in more than just a physical sense. Coffey does a very chilling job playing someone who's done this kind of thing many times before, and I imagine the actor had a pretty hard time playing such a man who would see pleasure in raping a 14-year-old girl. Kudos to him for not just attempting to play such a man, but also avoiding an over-the-top performance in the process. Trust is a very mature and sobering film, which will doubtless leave many people cringing in their seats, and I stress the fact it's hard to watch. But if you do watch it, I'm sure you'd agree that it was worth seeing. I mean, certainly it's very topical in times like this, but the more we find out about how to deal with it and how to react to it, the easier it will be to deal with the problem.